Good morning, darlings. Okay, so I'm going to start this off with a little caveat saying most of you, 99.99999% of you, need to read more. A couple of you in my group, read loads, and that's amazing, but a lot of you need to read more. Now, I know some of you, with no mentioning no names, but you know who you are, think that you are allergic to books. You're not. I'm here to tell you, in my medically based opinion, you are not allergic to books. You need to participate in what's called the reading triangle. Okay, so the triangle has two sides, the front and the back. The first side is the negative side. If you don't read, you find it much more difficult, so you read slower and you read less. Okay, and so you don't read, and you find it much more difficult, and then you read slower and you read less. Okay, so that's the triangle, 3 points. It could be a square if you separate those two. It's a triangle. It's a triangle. On the other side, the more you read, the easier it becomes. So the more you learn and the faster you do it. The more you can read, the easier it becomes, the faster you can do it. So the more you can read, right? So this is the positive side of the triangle, back and front and back. Okay, so on your screen in front of you, there is a literature timeline. I took ages doing this. When I say ages, I mean like 2 minutes. But hey ho, it took time. So right. So you've got on here, underneath, you've got a set text. You've got 3 set texts. So you've got Christmas Carol, which you know that we already do. You've got Blood Brothers, which we're studying now. And you've got something called Zoom, which is a collection of poetry by the current poet laureate, Simon Armitage. And from this was the 10-pence story. Now, we've already done the 10-pence story, which is why I said this is a set text and you don't have to therefore read it. What you need to do is choose a minimum of 2 of the optional texts to read this term. And by this term, I mean by Christmas. Okay, you can either buy them or borrow them from a library or secondhand bookshop, sell them as well for cheaper. So your option texts are Oliver Twist, which came before Christmas Carol, which was published in 1838. Jane Eyre, which is my favourite book of all time and is amazing, which was published in 1847. Bleak House, which is by Charles Dickens, which is 1843, as is Oliver Twist. And Hard Times, which was published a year later in 1854, also by Charles Dickens, also a fabulous text. Or you can read, if you want something more modern, more contemporary, you can read Stone Cold. All of these things deal with the same ideas that are in Blood Brothers, which is why I've given you these ones to pick from. So this one here is set in the 90s and it is fabulous, Stone Cold. All the rest, though, deal with the same themes and ideas. And this is to broaden not only your abilities at reading and your vocabulary, but also to broaden your knowledge of cultural capital. Well, what's cultural capital, miss? What on earth are you chatting? Cultural capital is an awareness of everything in our collective history as a country that we have created and is to be celebrated. And literature is a massive part of that. So you can read any of these 2 texts, any 2 of the option texts by Christmas. Any 2. And no, for the people who I know are asking, watching the films don't count. You have to read the books. Okay, so we're going to go on with today's lesson then, and we're going to start and go on to the next slide. Okay, so your 5 a day then is to conjugate this verb to be in the past and the present tense. So, for example, to be, I am, and in the past tense, I was. You need to then conjugate the rest of the verb, please, and make sure that you do this in your books, or if you haven't got your books, have you? So on a piece of paper, or you can type it up in a Word document. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've done that, and you've pressed pause, and you've done that work, and let's carry on. Okay, right. RESPECT. I promise we'll never do that again. I did say I wasn't going to do that, but I totally lied. So respect is a thing that we were going to look at today and how it links to class. Okay, so what you need to do, and you haven't got your plays because they are at school, but you can look at the one in the S drive and you can take sections out of it, stick it in a Word document and print it off and annotate it with handwriting, or you can annotate it in little text boxes on your Word document because, I mean, it's time consuming, but it's fun. So, and he was about to commit a serious crime, love. Now, do you understand that? You don't want to end up in court again, do you? Mrs. Johnson shakes her head. Well, that's what's going to happen if I have any more trouble from one of yours. I warned you last time, didn't I, Mrs. Johnson, about your Sammy? Mrs. Johnson nods. Well, there'll be no more bloody warnings from now on. Either you keep them in order, missus, or it'll be the courts for you, or worse, won't it? Mrs. Johnson nods. Yes, it will. As the policeman turns and goes towards the Lion's house, music is heard. So, what we need to do is we need to look at this and know and understand and remember facts only for this part. I'm not interested in methods. I'm not interested in anything else. We need to talk about facts. Okay, so for example, it's from this bit here, we understand that Mrs. Johnston has been to court before. This is not the first time that she's been faced with court because of one of her children. Okay, when the policeman says one of yours, it sort of indicates that it's not just one child that's been in court for bad behaviour, and that Sammy has also been there as well. Okay, this is the sort of stuff I'm asking for. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video and annotate your copies, please do so, and then we'll move on. Okay, now we're looking at exactly the same extract, and we need to focus on what this interaction tells us about the theme of class and how that has been accomplished by Russell. So our keywords are compassion, tone, swearing, rhetorical questions, and accent. So tell me then about the policeman's accent. What do we know? We know that he speaks in a similar way to Mrs. Johnston. How do we know that? Figure it out. These are the sorts of things I would ask you in class, and I would not give you the answer. I'd expect you to give me the answer. Okay? We need to analyse the tone of language used. How is he speaking to her? What is he treating her like? Okay? We need to judge the use of swearing here. And yes, bloody is a swear word. So why does he feel it's okay to use that with Mrs. Johnston? And why doesn't she reply to the questions? So we're looking at keyword rhetorical questions here. Why is she in no position to reply back to the policeman? Okay, these are ideas that I want you to think about before you start writing your analytical paragraph, please. Okay, and then I need you to think about whether or not there is compassion here. If you don't know what compassion means, you need to look it up. You can Google it, you can use a dictionary if you've got one. If not, you can ask for one for Christmas. Don't laugh at me and don't go, oh, God, no. You need a dictionary in your lives. It's an essential. It's like knives and forks. You need a dictionary. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And then what we'll do in the next video, we will look at the comparison between this and the next interaction. I won't make this video too long because you are going to have to write an analytical paragraph or two about this. And that's quite a lot of work. Okay, plus I want to get this video uploaded today. And this probably would have taken 2 lessons by the time we've gone through it. So I don't think it's fair to overload you all at once. Okay? All right, if you need anything, if you're not sure about anything, if you need any help, you know where I am. You can email me. Well done to the people who have already started to email me. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Keep it up if you need help, or you can tweet me at Miss Hine English. Okay, I hope you stay very safe, and I hope to see you very soon. Look after yourselves.